Hi and welcome. It's Jennifer Britton of the Teams365 blog at Potentials Realized. And I want to welcome you to our March 2016 Teams365 session. It's not a blab today, even though that's what it says here. It is, however, a webinar. And I want to welcome you. Thanks for joining us. Chances are you're a busy team leader and trying to find 15 minutes in your day is key. Well, thank you for joining us. This is going to be a quick 15-minute webinar on coaching skills for leaders. As you might be aware, the Teams365 blog from Potentials Realized and myself has just entered our third year of daily posts and blog posts and tips for team leaders, people like you. I hope that you've been finding some good value. We've covered a range of topics over the last 3 years, or into our third year, including coaching skills. Right now I'm working on a series around remote teams and virtual teams. We've done posts on mentoring, performance management, talent management, team development. You might know that on Thursdays is our weekly team building tip. On Fridays, usually I do a post around 6 leadership questions I hope you'll start to incorporate into your conversations, and/or we do a post around resources that you might want to check out around our weekly themes. So thanks for joining me. We are moving this month to a webinar format. For a couple of months, we played around with a blab format, which is a real-time streaming. It didn't seem to work too well for those of you that are leaders. Many of you requested more of a webinar format, so pleased to bring this to you. Hope that you'll enjoy our quick 15-minute session, which is on a topic near and dear to my heart, coaching skills for leaders. Like many of you, I too was a team leader. I had staff scattered across 10 countries in my last role over a 3-year period, and it was so critical to have better conversations with people. That was around the time when I was starting to hear something about coaching. And I thought, this is interesting. How can I be leveraging coaching? How might I be using it in my work with teams and groups? And in fact, back in 2002, I started my journey in professional training around coaching skills. I'm a professional certified coach with the International Coach Federation. And as some of you know, since April of 2004, I've been running Potentials Realized. In the last 12 years, I've had the chance to train thousands of professionals in coaching skills, professional coaches themselves, as well as hundreds of leaders from walks of all life, safety to manufacturing to healthcare to HR. So really hoping that you'll enjoy this quick 15-minute intro to coaching skills for leaders. For years, I've been asked, what is coaching? And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to do a series of training with a wonderful subject matter expert named Doug McLaren, and we used this actual definition. So it should probably say Jennifer Britton and Doug McLaren. We were framing coaching as a conversation with intent. It's not just a nice conversation. It is a conversation which wants to help people get from A to B, perhaps quicker, perhaps differently, perhaps at a more effective price, or more efficient. Coaching is an intentional conversation. And in this brief presentation, I want to introduce you today to what coaching is and what coaching is not. Now, for those of you that are interested in reading more, you've got 2 books. I published 2 books on the topic. My first book, Effective Group Coaching, was published in late 2009. So it's been out in the world for quite a few years now. It's being used by professional coach training schools for their students. And my second book, From One to Many, which was published by Josie Bass back in 2013, has also been widely embraced. It's being used by professional coach training schools and some business programs in university settings all over the world. So for more info, please check those 2 out. You can also link with us, obviously, at potentialsrealized.com, or check out the resources at FromOneToMany.com. Now that's spelled from number 1, number 2, many.com, like from12many.com. So looking at today, I really wanted to just give you some brief definitions. Again, it's a conversation with intent. It really is a conversation where we want to help our team members get into action, gain awareness, maybe break through some barriers or be more aware of the assumptions they're making, develop some options around what might be possible. And it is, at the end of the day, all about performance. Now, what we know from team effectiveness research, and if you've been following me at all at the Teams365 blog, you'll see a lot around high-performing teams over the last 2.5 years. We know that high-performing teams are great at getting results, and they also have great relationships with each other. So what is coaching all about? Well, in fact, in 2009, the International Coach Federation did a survey called the 2009 Global Coaching Clients Survey. And in that, they surveyed tens of thousands of people who had gone through a coaching process and asked them, what is coaching about? Well, in fact, it lasered into 4 core coaching competencies that we really do lead from in any coaching conversation. Number 1 is goals. And any coaching conversation is or should be focused on the goals, not only the goals of the conversation, but how does this conversation fit into the bigger framework, whether it's looking at an individual contributor's goals or how it supports a KPI, a key performance indicator, or how it even supports team goals. Now, coaching is not a one-off conversation. It is about creating that ongoing framework around accountability. And as leaders, that is part of our responsibility, that we're circling back, that we are checking in with our team members. I'll also share a little bit about group and team coaching. And in those contexts, the accountability is not only with the leader or the coach, but also with their peer group. So this can be a very powerful modality for learning and development. Any coaching process is a process of change, and in that it requires action and awareness. I've included the glasses, certainly I can't get anywhere without my glasses. And as we move forward in today's business environment, it's so important that we gain new awareness around the problems, the challenges, and the opportunities that we are facing. Awareness, as I said earlier, might be about exploring our assumptions. It may be about developing new perspectives around situations or issues. And also awareness is about learning about ourselves, our strengths, and our blind spots. Now, coaching is not just a nice conversation. It is about getting into action. And many of you are probably well familiar with my love of one-page plans. If we are not leaving meetings today with clarity around who's doing what and by when is it going to be done, we're wasting a lot of time. And I continue to be amazed as I travel across Canada and as I work with clients virtually through the US, really just how much time is being spent in ineffective meetings today. So more on that at the Teams365 blog. We'll do a whole other monthly session on this. But for today, just notice these are really the 4 coaching cornerstones in any model. So you might be wondering, well, why coaching? How can I build a business case around it? And again, I'm going back to the research done by the International Coach Federation back in 2014, and they found that there were productivity measures and positivity measures that were being impacted by coaching. Productivity measures such as improved work performance based on the people who had been coached, improved business management, improved time management, and of course, improved team effectiveness. These are key, and these are things that we can measure. We can measure the metrics. We can look at what needles are actually moving. Now, in addition to those productivity measures, which are often seen as the hard stuff, we also have positivity measures as well. Things like increased self-confidence on the part of people who were coached, enhanced relationships, improved communication skills, and improved work-life balance. And if you think about your team right now, how do these factors impact results? My guess is if you have a team who lacks confidence, they're not going out, they're not getting into action, they're not moving forward on their results. Likewise, we need relationships in today's ever-changing business context. And if we're not effective at building those, it's really hard to get the results that we need. Now, again, going back to some other research by the International Coach Federation, they looked at what are the tangible and intangible business impacts. And as you can see here, tangible things that can be measured: productivity, quality, organizational strength, reduced complaints, and reduced turnover. And intangibly, and you may be measuring some of these through things like engagement surveys, turnover rates, improved relationships. Coaching also can lead to improved teamwork, improved job satisfaction, reduced conflict, and of course, increased organizational commitment. And you've probably read me or heard me speak about, the challenge we are facing in today's workforce around engagement. So how can coaching support you? Well, first of all, we want to develop skills as leaders. We don't always have to bring in an external coach like myself. It is nice, but as coaches, as leaders, you also can play a critical role in having these focused, intentional conversations every day. So as leaders, you want to be really focusing on how are you listening? How are you asking good questions? How are you becoming more aware of yourself, your strengths, your blind spots, and how can you support that development in others? Now, I've put in here another skill set. You might think that it's a little bit different, but the coach as leader also is highly effective in building rapport, building connection, in building trust. Without trust and connection, it's very hard to be coaching anyone. We really can't. And as a coach, we're not getting into the action ourselves. We're really influencing others. We're supporting others to get the work done. So part of the skill development on the part of a leader as a coach means that we need to let go. We need to allow people to try things out. We need to allow them to succeed and sometimes fail. So the conversation may seem a little bit different. We won't have time to go into this today, but really this is such a key skill area for leaders today. Now, coaching is one of many modalities. You may be engaging in your organization with mentoring. You may be developing leaders by using coaching or by using special assignments. You may be sending people to training, internal and external, doing job shadowing and apprenticeship. I think well-rounded team members and leaders today get to benefit from all of these areas. And in fact, that's what we see with the research around accelerating leadership development. A few weeks ago, I was speaking at a leadership succession program, and I was sharing some of the research around acceleration. How do we really help people move quickly into those areas? And some of the things we need to do, in addition to providing different types of support like this, is we do need to make sure that we're helping people move into that stretch area. And that's what really coaching is all about, helping people move into the stretch, where the stretch is not a super stretch and they get overwhelmed and disempowered, but where it's enough to really help them accelerate. Couple more definitions I wanted to include. NASA, for example, has been using coaching as an approach for many, many years. They see it as a developmental strategy that enables people to meet their goals for improved performance, growth, or career enhancement. A really important first step in building a coaching culture in organizations today is about building that goal framework, helping your leaders and helping your team members set better goals, check in around those goals, and really track how the goal progress is going. John Whitmore, who is one of the creators of the GROW model, which is a fantastic model for leaders as coach to use, defines coaching as unlocking a person's potential to maximize their own performance. Obviously, when I was years ago, 12, 13 years ago, as I was starting my own transition out of my global service with the UN and other international organizations into my own business, I read John Whitmore, and that was one of the reasons why I named my company Potentials Realized. Really, coaching is an approach that helps people reach and realize what they are fully capable of. So in my latest book, it's not really so latest, but my second book, From One to Many Best Practices for Team and Group Coaching, I share this, I call it the anatomy of the coaching conversation, the coaching arc. And if you look, we always need to start off by establishing a coaching relationship. If there is no trust or connection, leaders really can't expect to coach their staff members. Coaching is a deeper, more expedited conversation. So it's key that we have that trust or rapport. Without it, we may be entering into a conversation, but not a coaching conversation. In coaching, one of the really the driver in the coaching conversation is really the person who is going to be taking action. While the leader needs to support it, we want to really be asking the person that we're in conversation with, what is the focus of the conversation? What do you need to get done? What are your goals? And what will your goal success look like? In that, we can then use questions. We can really be asking a variety of questions to help that person expand their awareness and look at what action they want to take. And in coaching, it's really important that we get to this commitment phase. What are you going to do as a result of our conversation today? Again, the person being coached is in the driver's seat. And this is an interesting place where if people are coming from a traditional hierarchical approach to management where the leader tells people, coaching may not be a modality that can be easily embraced. In fact, in coaching, we're really empowering the employee themselves to be moving into the action. And as leaders, we're there to support. We're there to use questions. We're there to be helping the employee themselves problem solve. That's a different modality. It's a different paradigm to leadership. Part of the success of coaching is the leader's ability to check in and see how things are going. checking in. And I write a lot about the importance of one-on-ones at the Teams365 blog. So again, just a little shout out. If you've never come across and read the blog, please visit us. It is found at potentialsrealized.com. You can scroll down to visit the Teams365 blog. Today's the 1st of March. We're in a new month, and it is around day 788 or 89, I believe. So we're really moving quite quickly through our 3rd year of blog posts. Now, wanted to also quickly cover this because often there's a lot of lack of clarity around what coaching is. The term is bandied around so much. I really want to stress coaching is not an unfocused conversation. It's not focused on results. It's not this woo-woo modality. In the business context, coaching is there to help accelerate performance and get results. Coaching should not be seen as a remedial approach. I'm not going to put money around it, but there are so many organizations that see coaching as the way to fix people. That is not what coaching is about. Coaching is about helping people be more successful. So we need to move away from this idea that people go to coaching to get fixed. It is not about fixing them. They may need, in fact, some skill development. There may be needed some changes in the workplace, as well as some coaching to help that person get clear on their goals, their vision, and where they're going. Coaching is also not consulting or therapy. We could do a whole session on this, but I'd invite you to reach out and read resources like a wonderful book by Dr. Pat Williams, who writes a lot on therapy versus coaching. Consulting is all about telling people. It's about advising people. And coaching is not necessarily, and certainly in professional coaching, it is not about advising people. It's about helping people explore things for themselves. And when I say coaching is not driven by the leader, I think coaching is a collaborative dance between the employee and the leader. As the leader, you are shaping the focus. You are shaping the focus with your questions. You're helping the employee connect what they're doing with the bigger picture. And of course, you as a leader have a significant impact on what that bigger picture is. So it's not you driving the bus. It's really you on the bus with your employee or employees, helping them get to where you want to go more effectively. Now, there are a number of core coaching competencies. I'm just sharing it here. If you have interest in these, please let me know. All of the coach training we do, and we do a wide variety of coach training programs, some which are focused on group and team coaching, as well as coaching skills training for leaders. Last year, in 2015, we took hundreds of people through coach training programs, whether a 2-day format or also in a 1-day format. And all of our training programs link back to this. So we spend a lot of time looking at the foundations of communication, listening, questions, direct communication. We also look at my favorite, facilitating learning and results. We might be good at goal setting, but are we really great at planning and goal setting? How are we creating accountability frameworks in our team? And of course, all of that is based on the strength of relationship and our self-knowledge as well. So as we go to wrap this up, just a reminder of our cornerstones. We have goal setting, accountability, action, and awareness. Some of you today may be hearing more and more about team coaching. I could spend a whole hour on this, but I won't. But this is when we bring the coaching conversation into teams. As you can read here, it really is that ongoing, sustained series of conversations. It's focused, as always, in our 4 core areas: goal setting, deepening awareness, taking action, and creating accountability. When teams are coached, it can happen on 2 levels. One, we can be coaching the individuals themselves to strengthen them, or we may be coaching the team as a system. And over the last decade, more than the last decade, I've spent a huge amount of time working with teams. In many instances, it's the team as a system we want to strengthen, really to ultimately get better results and better relationships. So you might be asking, well, why is this important? We've had coaching and the C-level has gotten it. Why do we need to bring it down? And here's what Peter Senge is quoted as saying in a wonderful book, David Clutterbuck's Coaching the Team at Work, one of the original books on team coaching. Senge says, knowledge generation primarily occurs in working teams. Individual learning is a byproduct of what goes on in really innovative teams. But individual learning is not the goal. In fact, if it becomes the goal, you are in trouble. And it's so important that we actually look at How do we support teams? How do we support better conversations? And that's part of what the team coaching conversation does. It opens up the things that might be blocked. It addresses the elephant in the room. It gets team members to sort of peel back the kimono and look at what's really behind the curtain. A lot of metaphors there, and in fact, metaphors are part of the skill set of a really masterful coach. Now, want to give a little toot out for group coaching as well. This is an area that I'm quite well known in, and in addition to empowering teams, it can be really useful to expand the coaching conversation across an organization. So historically, coaching has often just been at the C level. Because of cost, it hasn't been brought down beyond often the director level. New managers, new employees can really benefit from coming together with their peers. Now in group coaching, it's a small group conversation space. Typically groups are 5 to 8 people. Maximum for something to be considered group coaching is in fact 15. The more people we add in the room, really the more it becomes a facilitated discussion. So we may be doing or offering group coaching programs for new managers as part of a 360 debrief process. You may be working with your high potential leaders or those people who are in the leadership pipeline. Group coaching can bring together people for a 3 to 6 month period where they're not doing training. It may in fact be follow-on to training, but they're really learning more about themselves, their strengths, their styles, their vision, and looking also at integrating the learning and the knowledge they already have. So as always in group coaching, it may be very much thematic. Every week or every bi-weekly session that people come together, they'll know what they are coming together for. So why is it important? Very quickly, group coaching really aids in peer learning. If your organization is looking at how do we accelerate the peer learning process, group coaching is a wonderful format because it brings people together for deeper conversations. They're coming together for a 3 to 6 month period in the same group. So there's real connections that get formed and real level of just conversation that gets to a much greater depth. Scalability, again, group coaching allows you to involve more people in the coaching conversation at a lower price. And with that, it leverages time, leverages individual time, leverages the coaching time. What has been interesting, certainly in the case studies that I've looked at over the last decade, is very much it's the medium and long-term effect of group coaching. You may bring together a group of 8 or 10 professionals in the same group and you see immediate impact. But take note of what happens over the years. Take note of the depth of relationships that are formed and sustained and built on by those group members in a similar cohort. The nice thing about group coaching is it often brings people together from across an organization so we can really expand the conversation. I call that width, not depth. And people may also, in a group coaching conversation, still want some individual coaching. So the group coach may bring in another group coach or, bring in another individual coach or maybe doing the work themselves. Huge benefit, of course, is a cross-functional fertilization. If you have a group made up of IT, of HR, of marketing, of legal, of ops, you now are starting to break down the silos and start breaking down the differences by building those relationships. So with that, I want to wrap up here. Just a reminder, coaching is, at the end of the day, a wonderful modality to help with goal acceleration. It's not a one-off conversation. It's deeply embedded in accountability, follow through, and checking in around how the person being coached is taking action and also gaining awareness, whether it's busting assumptions, whether it's generating other options, whether it's looking at things through different perspectives. So my question to all of you as we go to wrap up is, where can coaching be leveraged in your organization? Do you have a coaching culture already established? And if so, what is that next step? In part 3 of my second book, From One to Many, Best Practices for Team and Group Coaching, I go more into establishing a coaching culture and looking at what some really innovative organizations are doing. If you haven't started coaching yet, what is that entry point? Is it group coaching? Is it coaching at the C level? Is it team coaching? There's so many different opportunities. And for those that are interested, certainly I've written quite a bit at the Teams365 blog. I've also been blogging on the topic of group and team coaching since 2005. You can check out that blog. It's called the Group Coaching Blog, Ins and Outs blog, at groupcoaching.blogspot.com. If you have questions, do let me know. You may also want to join us for an upcoming program. So I've just included here a couple of things that relate to coaching and leadership that you might be interested in. Starting at the bottom, if you'd like to be meeting with other peers, other team leaders going through a 3-month coaching process, the next Teams365 coaching group will start in late March 2016. You can find out more about that at one of our websites. It's called coachingteamleaders.com. And this is a program geared specifically for team leaders. It interfaces nicely into our Teams365 Foundations program. And also, we do have as that a module on public module on coaching skills training, as well as we go in-house to lead customized coaching skills training. Last week, I was just up in Thunder Bay doing a 1-day program for about 25 HR professionals. And very much, it is all about practice. You know, we need to engage in deep, deep practice in coaching. It's not something you just read about. It's about getting your hands dirty. And that is really what shapes the 3 programs at the top of the page. On a semi-monthly basis, I run a Group Coaching Essentials program. It's geared for coaches, HR professionals, leaders who want to be creating their own group coaching programs. And that program has been reviewed and approved by the ICF for what they call CCEs, Continuing Coach Education. I also offer another program called the Advanced Group Coaching Practicum. That's where we get our hands dirty. You actually get to practice in the virtual domain with group coaching skills. And finally, for those that might be listening to this who are coaches, trainers, facilitators, are really wanting a longer term place of connection, community, and learning around all things groups and teams, that's the Learning Lab and Design Studio. We launched about a month ago. We meet typically on Fridays at 12 noon Eastern, Toronto time. There are some times that are 8 a.m. Eastern, but we meet 3 times a month for a lecture call. There's a learning call on things like this month, it's the ecosystem of group and team programs. So we're looking at best practices around e-learning, group coaching, etc. Once a month, I'm a coach on call, so people are invited to bring their questions. We do some action learning coaching. And also there is a call every month where it's a facilitation lab. So I bring in some of my favorite tools and we facilitate real time. Last week was the February 2015 facilitation lab, and we looked at virtual visual cards. So lots going on. Check us out. Main site probably for most of you will be the potentialsrealized.com website. I hope you've enjoyed this format a little bit differently. Welcome your feedback. This will be uploaded at the groupcoachingessentials.com website at our Teams365 blog later this week, so do view it. We have gone a few more minutes than 15, but I hope that it's been useful as we've taken a bit of a quick overview at coaching, the benefits, why we do it, what are some of the core skills, and what are some of the core practices. Again, it's Jennifer Britton. Thanks for joining me. We are back together again early April, and in early April, we'll be celebrating our 12th fullest year, going into our 13th year of business here at Potentials Realized. So stay tuned. I think we'll be back on Zoom based on your feedback, and hope that you have a great March. It's coming in like a lion here. There's been snow here all day, so hopefully that means that spring is around the corner. Take care, everyone. Be well.